the Niners have named their captains, John. And Kyle could have named 7 or 8 or 9, but he didn't. He went with the player vote, and he went with 6. The Niners captains are Trent Williams, Fred Warner, Jimmy Ward, Eric Armstead, Nick Bosa, and George Kittle. Somebody said, what about Trey? And he said, oh, he was 7th. What about Debo? Oh, he was 8th. So the Niners quarterback, I saw somebody in the chat said earlier, 2 quarterbacks in the quarterback room and 0 captains. Trey, not a captain, so does it matter? A. B, I think you can kind of understand it when you read the names of guys. Like, you don't just get to be ahead of Kittle, Bosa, Armstead, Ward, Fred Warner, or Trent Williams because you're the quarterback and people like you, right? Those guys have earned it on the field, which clearly Trey has not yet. You would love for your quarterback to have earned it somehow, some way, but I don't. To me, it's not a killer when you look at who the 6 guys are.
To me, separate of the guys, I'm with you. They have an elite crop of guys that are captains. He has not earned to be a captain. I mean, what fucking world would Trey Lance beside like the guys liking him? And to me, part of being a captain is more than being liked. Like, I think of the Patriots, it was like McCourty, Brady, Jules, Slater. Yeah, like, you win on the field. When I think of the Eagles, Kelsey. When I think of the Chiefs, Kelsey, Mahomes, like, you got to earn your stripes on the field. It's more than like, he's doing the right things. I watched Dan Campbell. I think I was an episode late, so not the one where he cut everyone, but the one kind of leading up to the cuts. And he said there are 2 type of guys on this team. And the first type of guys, he's like, guys that are doing everything right, on time. We love you as coaches. We're just not sure if you're good enough. And then the other crop of dudes was like, the dudes, we know you got talent, but we don't like you that much. We question all your bullshit. But it's like, it's hard to pick between those 2 guys.
Yeah.
And to me, Trey, given that, you know, we all think he's talented, but really all he hangs his hat on, like, he's in early. He's being a good teammate. He's working really hard. Like, part of it, you got to double that. You also got to be good on the field. All those guys. Did you list a non-Pro Bowler? I mean, Trent's going to the Hall of Fame. George was, by like year 3, considered the best tight end in football. Aaron Rodgers went up to Fred Warner and said he thought he was the best middle linebacker in football 2 years ago. Jimmy is a polarizing player in the sense of, like, is the league a little lower on him than the 49ers? But here's what we know. He's like the heart and soul of the team, Jimmy Ward. You know, he like cracked the top 100. I think he did this year. Not that fucking matters. But my point is that, like, Jimmy Ward is like what he means to the 49ers is well established. I mean, they literally put Trey Lance's locker next to him, right? So I don't, like, to me, Trey Lance, you know, I think the bigger question is, why isn't Debo a captain more than Trey Lance? If you give a rookie a captaincy, like, let's face it, it's a little fake. Like, you're
he's not a rookie, but I agree.
Yeah, it's a little different because the guys know him. Like, to me, the bigger question is, like, Debo's not a lock. and you and I, let's face it. And this is where the kind of liberal football coach in me, like, Debo's not the greatest practice player. Where the other guys, like, Fred takes it very seriously. Jimmy Ward takes it very seriously. Trent, he's just so fucking good. If you don't vote for him, you're an idiot. You know, George takes it very seriously. Bosa takes it very seriously. You know, you watch Debo, I could see some guys like, we need him to win, but
right.
And that's part of football, right?
But also, you can part of it is, like, if you build a team that has enough guys that you can depend on, you can afford for Debo Samuel to not be one of your captains, right? Because even if he's not like one of the leaders, he's also not over here just being a complete distraction. Because you can't, like, the locker room won't allow you to.
But also, if you ask like Brunskill or Jawan Jennings or Al Shire, like, hey, do you want Debo on the field when you guys play Denver at Denver? Like, right. What do you think they're going to?
And that's also, do you think Debo will make it to the field when you guys play those games? Right? Yes. Yeah. Yes is the answer.
So it's like, I actually think that would be the bigger thing than Trey, because I think on his most basic level, you said it, he just hasn't earned it. I'd even go as far as he doesn't deserve it. And there's nothing wrong with not deserving it right away. Like, I'd argue if in Jacksonville, I'm sure Trevor's a captain. Like, does he deserve it? Probably not yet. You better be voting him. I mean, fuck, but they have no one else.
Yeah.
Some guys, to me, like, it feels very forced that the quarterback always gets it. And most of the time it's very true. Like, the quarterback, like Brady or Rodgers or Mahomes or whatever. But, like, do you just automatically get it just because you're the quarterback? I remember Russillo did a rant.
In college, you kind of do, right?
As the starter.
Yeah. Because in college, you do, like, there are some basic responsibilities for the quarterback, right? The coach isn't allowed to talk to you guys. The only guy you can talk to is the strength and conditioning coach, basically, for like 2 months. So you're supposed to organize all these throwing days and run the offense and blah, blah, blah. And everybody, there are like some 6-year vets, but there's no Trent Williams in college football.
Yeah.
The old guys have been there 3 years.
For sure.
So it's easier to just step in as like a transfer quarterback and take over. Different in the NFL.
For sure. I don't even look at it one iota as being weird him. I look at it a little different with Debo, though having experienced it, I get it. As saying experience practice, like I get it. Like Jimmy Ward might not check Debo number 1.
Team Ham, we don't give out captaincies. It's just WDs, John, War Daddies.
Yeah, and to me, I'd even argue
he's a War Daddy.
I'd argue 6 feels like a lot. I mean, Jim Tom Sula is the all-time joke when he named 75 captains. Maybe I'm old school. I like about 2.
Yeah, but who do you leave out then? I think is part of it, right? Like
I would like Trent and Armstead and Fred.
To me, what you do if you're Kyle, because it's a player vote, is you just you look at where the break in all the votes are, right? So if those 6 guys got kind of similar, my guess is there was a big gap between all the votes those guys got and then the next group, right?
I agree. So
kind of like when you look at like Alabama, Georgia, they get a bunch of votes at the top, and then there's like clearly a gap between number 2 and number 3.
I would imagine you're right. I just wonder, like, because the problem would be like, hey, name 2 captains on defense, and you went like Jimmy Ward and Eric Armstead. Well, it's like, well, Fred, like a lot of people did view him as a captain. People like him. You feel like, and he's kind of the heart and soul of your defense because he's a middle linebacker. He's literally calling the defense, and people do view him that way. If you just only have 2 aside, are you kind of?
If you go to a practice, it's pretty clear.
Out of those 3, if I tell you Jimmy Ward, Fred Warner, Eric Armstead, it's like you can't really not name one of those 3 a captain, right?
Yeah.
To me, offense would be a little easier. I would just go like George and Trent, which I guess is what they did. Is Bosa a captain?
Yeah, Bosa's a captain, but there's only 2 guys from the offense. George and Trent. Like
who else are you voting for?
I mean, you hope that like maybe Ayuk is in the mix next year, whatever. We'll see, but it's fine.
The use check literally tells everyone to line up. I mean, you could have voted him.
He only runs the offense, but that was with Jimmy.
Didn't you say at practice? Remember, you saw him tell Trey to get in the shotgun.
Yeah, it was actually Kawakami that saw it first, and I was like, "What just happened?" And he kind of broke it down for me. I was like, oh, "Okay," and then I went back and found the play last year when he told Ayuk that he wasn't in motion, he needed to go in motion. So
you got fullbacks just getting no love, man.